The late 1950s were a time of chrome, confidence, and ever faster cars. Chevrolet, known for reliability, wanted more. They wanted to dominate the streets and the drag strips. The small block V8 was good, but Chevy needed a heavyweight. Enter the 348 V8, wide, imposing, and ready to roar. With its distinctive W-shaped valve covers, it looked as powerful as it sounded. Under the hood of a '58 Impala, the 348 was a caged animal. Raw muscle for a public hungry for excitement. Its deep rumble promised power, and for a moment, it delivered. The 348 was Chevy's answer to the horsepower wars, a symbol of ambition and optimism. It was designed to haul families and win races, a bold move in a bold era. But beneath the chrome, trouble was brewing. The very design that made the 348 unique also hid fatal flaws. Performance came at a cost, one that would soon become clear. The W engine's thunder was real, but so were its shadows. What started as a game changer would soon become a cautionary tale. Sometimes pushing engineering to its limits comes with a price. The story of the 348 is about the risks of chasing power a little too far, a little too fast. The 348 story began in the mid-1950s, when Chevrolet needed more muscle. The market wanted bigger engines, more torque, and more speed. So Chevy created the Mark I big block, the W engine. Its radical design featured a unique wedge-shaped combustion chamber, promising better breathing and massive valves. It was a gamble for class-leading horsepower and torque. When the 348 debuted in 1958, it was an instant sensation. Available in multiple versions, including the fire-breathing tri-power, it could churn out over 300 horsepower. Racers and enthusiasts flocked to it, turning the Impala into a street brawler. Chevy was no longer just about reliability, they were in the speed business. The 348 powered victories and built a legend, but even as it rose to the top, its flaws were already baked in. The seeds of trouble were sown deep within its iron block. The legend was born, but the warning signs were there from the start. The honeymoon was short-lived. As 348 powered Chevys hit the road, problems surfaced fast. The oiling system starved bearings at high RPMs, engines failed spectacularly. Overheating was constant. The unique combustion chamber created hot spots the cooling system couldn't handle. On hot days, a 348 could turn into a roadside steamer, warping heads and blowing gaskets. The cylinder heads, designed for power, actually choked the engine at high RPMs. Valve train issues led to misfires, stuck valves, and worn camshafts. The tri-power carb setup was finicky and hard to keep in tune. These weren't isolated incidents, they were fundamental design flaws. The oiling and cooling systems were overwhelmed. The engine that promised dominance was proving fragile and unreliable. For many, the dream of high-performance Chevy ownership became a nightmare. The cracks in the legend were showing. The 348's demons were real, and they were hungry for iron and oil. The promise of power was now a warning. The legend was starting to unravel. The 348's flaws weren't just inconvenient, they were dangerous. Overheating and oil starvation could leave families stranded or cause catastrophic engine failure at highway speeds. Stories of sudden, total engine failure spread quickly. Imagine cruising in your new Impala, then a bang, a shudder, and suddenly you're fighting to control a powerless 2-ton car. For some, it ended with a tow, for others, in a wreck. Valve and carburetor issues caused stalls in intersections or unintended acceleration, real documented dangers. The most tragic stories involved fatal accidents linked to the 348's known failure points. The engine's reputation was tarnished not just by unreliability, but by its potential to kill. In the rush for more power, corners were cut and designs rushed to market. The 348 became a symbol of corporate hubris, an engine with a fatal flaw, sold as the best. The consequences were severe. Lives lost, families changed forever. The thunderous roar of the 348 was, for some, the last sound they ever heard. Ambition had turned deadly. The horsepower wars had a dark side. The cost of speed was paid in more than just broken parts. The 348's legacy was now shadowed by tragedy. The warning was clear: power without reliability is a dangerous game. Chevrolet knew there was a problem. Warranty claims and angry letters piled up. Mechanics demanded answers. But in that era, Public recalls were unthinkable. Instead, Chevy quietly issued internal memos and service bulletins. Band-aids, not solutions. Dealerships got instructions for new oil weights, cooling tweaks, and carburetor fixes. Behind the scenes, engineers made running changes. Better oiling passages, improved bearings, subtle cooling upgrades. These fixes were for future buyers, not those already burned. No public admission, no recall, just silent corrections. Early adopters were left holding the bag. Rumors of a cover-up spread, trust was broken. By protecting their image, Chevy betrayed their customers. The company's silence spoke volumes. Profits came before public safety. The 348 story became one of damage control and denial. The whispers from inside revealed a corporation scrambling to fix a mess it wouldn't admit existed. Today, the 348 V8 is a complicated icon. Time has softened its reputation. At car shows, it's a star. Its look and sound are pure 1950s muscle. For many, its flaws are now quirks, part of its character. Modern engineering has solved its old problems: better oiling, cooling, and heads. A well-built 348 can finally deliver on its original promise, but its dark history remains. For every enthusiast, there's a historian who sees a warning. The 348 is a case study in what happens when ambition outpaces engineering. It's a lesson in corporate hubris and the dangers of rushing to market. Its legacy is both pride and caution. The 348 commands respect and a healthy dose of skepticism. It's a story of power, risk, and the price of pushing too far. An engine is never just metal and numbers. It's a human story. The 348's tale is one of ambition, innovation, and risk. Engineers pushed boundaries, marketers sold dreams, workers built them, and drivers lived with the results. For some, the 348 meant pride, freedom, and excitement. For others, it brought frustration, breakdowns, and tragedy. Mechanics struggled to fix it. Families were stranded or worse. The pursuit of performance carries real risks, measured in lives, not just dollars. The 348's lesson is clear. Every engine's story is one of triumph and failure, ingenuity and fallibility. The roar of an engine is the sound of a story being told. The 348 story is dramatic, a reminder to look beyond the chrome and specs. At the heart of every machine is a human element, and that's what makes the story of the 348 unforgettable.